Good evening, everybody. I'm your host, Simply C, and I am in the studio with Alex Dunning. He actually is a makeup artist in town, so welcome, sir.
Well, thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. And this is one of the first times I've actually had a makeup artist on the show. I've had some other visual artists on previous to this, but this is kind of a new realm for me. And now we ended up meeting at the Underground one night last year. And you said that you were doing the Monsters and Mayhem at the
The haunted ship at the
yes,
Irvin, yeah.
thank you. Drawing a blank.
That's all right.
It's not October anymore. I can't remember anything. So
Oh, it's always Halloween in my head.
I bet. So now the stuff that I've seen up on your Facebook page, Makeup by Alex Dunning, it's stunning. It's amazing. And it, for those who have seen the show Face Off, it's almost on par with what they do on that one. How did you get started in this whole creation of creatures?
Well, it was about 7 years ago, and I was working down at the ship. I started as a volunteer as an actor. And then a fabulous woman named Jenna, she took me under her wing and started teaching me some makeup skills. She asked if I was interested in trying it out, and I went for it, and it turned out I had a little knack for it. And
Okay.
what I liked about it was an artistic outlet that was different. It wasn't what you hear. A lot of people are like, oh, I like to write, I like to come up with watercolor painting, and for me, I'm just like, I like to make a gory mess on someone's face to scare somebody, which, sadistic as that is, it's a career field that's always open, and it's always in surprisingly high demand.
Okay. And in a high demand, how do you kind of picture that? Is it, haunted ships, haunted hayrides, movies?
I'd say a little bit of everything.
Okay.
When you're looking for a career in this field, you're not going to just find it anywhere. You definitely have to do some searching. I got pretty lucky with being raised in an area that has one of the largest haunted attractions in the Twin Ports. So I just happened to step my way into it, worked myself up through the ranks, and here I am today. I'm head scenic designer, production manager, and
All right.
it's been a long journey, that's for sure. My skills, over the years of looking at my pictures of what I've done, I've noticed quite the increase in my skill level. And this year I was doing some new things that I didn't even know I was capable of. And all I had to really do was just go out on a whim and try it out, and it worked out pretty well. I liked it.
All right, very cool. And now, when people kind of think of makeup artists, not to be sexist or anything like that, they're usually kind of geared more towards women. Do you find that in the artist world, that there are a little bit more women?
Yes, actually. Out of my makeup artists, I have two men that are on the team, which is more than what I've had in the past. Usually I've had 3 or 4 women with me, and people have always come up to me and they're like, oh, well, I usually assume that women like to do this. And I was like, oh, it's not always the case. Sometimes you just have a niche, and I happen to find mine doing special effects makeup. When it comes to doing glamour makeup or something, for if girls were like, hey, can you do my makeup for prom? I'd probably not. I'm not very good at that type of makeup. I could probably learn. I've had an interest in learning that skill just to acquire it, and then I can use it if I need to. But I'd really like to stay in the haunt industry, Halloween, and creating that kind of look, that kind of feel. I don't know why it's a release for me, but it is. It's
Okay.
how I can escape into a new world.
All right, sounds good. And now, what are some of the monsters people have seen?
This year, I tackled a look that I called the Darkness,
Okay.
which I have on my Facebook page, and I also have in my portfolio here.
Oh my.
The actress's name, her name is Emily, and she had the coolest contact lenses. That they're black sclera lenses, so they would black out the whites of your eyes, as well as the color, so it just looked like a solid black eye. And that's really all I started with.
Okay.
And a couple of pictures in here show the evolution of where she's really come from. Like, here's another look that's similar, where I've tried different airbrushing techniques. The Darkness started to form as a character after a couple of weeks, and a lot of people started to come in and they would point at her and be like, this is the one that Alex did, this is the one I wanted to show you. And hearing that was pretty cool. But when I first started doing it, I didn't use all of the prosthetic work on there. that I led up to. I started off with a flat face paint for the first couple nights as I was just kind of getting back in my groove, and then I was like, well, I have all these resources. Let's play around for a little bit. So I started building up some gelatin on her cheekbones and draping it over her face so it looked like she almost had tentacles, and you couldn't see her mouth moving even though she could talk still. A lot of people didn't like the lack of emotion that she really had, where it looked like she was holding one steady face, and people can't read that, and it makes them uncomfortable.
Is that your end goal, to make people uncomfortable?
Yes. There's a couple people this year that came through the boat, and we had one person throw up in the haunt, and then we had another person throw up outside of the haunt from the way that our characters looked. So like my work and also my other makeup artists definitely pulled it off to make some pretty extreme reactions happen.
Okay, very cool. And now I noticed kind of in your portfolio here that you've got almost some kind of a saw looking like clowns going on. Was that one of your first projects?
This picture that I have of the saw clown, that's actually my sister.
Okay.
and that the clown that's right next to her is her fiance. And every year they come to me they have a bowling league that they're on, and they do costume nights where they'll show up in full costume, and they like to show up with my work, because then they'll just kind of blow everyone else out of the water. But they just that's her way of showing me off, I think, of being, hey, this is my little brother, this is what he does. But this year she wanted to do kind of a jigsaw look from the movie Saw.
Okay.
And she's natural blonde, actually, but you can see that we
you pulled it off
Yes.
quite well with making her black. Definitely making her hair black. Anyway, let me rephrase.
Right.
not going there on this show. Anyway, so you have mastered the zombie look, I see, with the teeth and the kind of wide mouth and the shapeness of people, just kind of flipping through your work here. Now, is that all just kind of layers and layers of makeup, or is there some kind of gelatin involved?
It depends on the look. If I'm going with like a skeleton type of look where you can see the teeth there, that's all hand painted.
Okay.
A lot of the shading and the jigsaw clown, that's all hand painted. This is the clown that's her fiance, is all hand painted.
Wow.
For zombies, I definitely like to use latex and gelatin. Gelatin more so than liquid latex. It leaves less seams, and the colors blend a little bit more realistically. So it's just more of a seamless look that looks a little more professional. You can get away with latex, definitely, but for some of the looks that I do, I like to keep it smoother so it doesn't look as artificial. A look that I also have tackled that a lot of people liked was from the movie Silent Hill. They have nurse characters in there that they're very twitchy in their motions, and their how they react to things around them is something that stimulates light or sound. And whenever that character is exposed to that, they start moving, and they have very big weapons with them, and they're just going to flail them around, and that's what makes people uncomfortable, is because they're random. And with that, normally the look doesn't have any eyes, but with it being in the Irvin, you're in the pitch black cargo hold, you're not going to see anything. I left one eye open on them. I did originally experiment with that look on me, and it was layers of latex and gauze and more latex, and then a lot of different paints to make all the different hues I needed it to be. So it took about an hour each time that I did this look on somebody. A lot of work and a lot of effort. For zombies, for that have like all the cheekbones and everything shaded in. I would generally, for the mainstream actors that are going out, since we do about 40 actors each, I'll stay away from some of the prosthetics because it takes a lot of time. But for our core actors, I'll definitely add some stuff to them to make them stand out. I don't cut any corners on anybody else. Of course, they're still going to look terrifying, but they're not going to have all that added goop to them, like Emily has here in their character, The Darkness.
Okay. How much latex and makeup do you think you go through in a season?
Oh, wow. For blood, we usually get 32-ounce Ben Nye fresh scab blood, and I'll start off the season with about 8 or 12 of those, and those will usually be gone by the third weekend. And latex, we get them in, I think it's half a gallon at a time about, and that can usually half a gallon to a gallon will last me through a season with latex. Gelatin, that's a whole other story. I like that a lot better, so I go through quite a bit of that.
All right. And what is kind of now? Last season, it was more kind of, from my understanding, it was zombie apocalypse, more leaning on.
Yeah.
What's coming up for this next season? Can you
Um,
say anything?
I can.
Hmm.
With what the haunt industry is doing these days, where a lot of haunts, they used to have these intricate themes that they'd be following, and now as we're getting further and further into the future, a lot of these ideas are getting reused and used and abused, and it doesn't work out so much anymore.
Okay.
So what we're kind of starting to do is
Hmm.
incorporate our haunt to make it rather universal.
Hmm.
Like last year, we and the year before, they used the phrase, "What are you afraid of?"
Okay.
For the haunt. And when I was pitched that idea of what to call it, I actually thought it was rather crafty because it's kind of like a double psychology standard
Hmm.
where you're like, well, like, what are you afraid of? Or like, come on down, what are you afraid of?
Oh, okay.
And so you can take it in
Hmm.
a couple different ways, which is going to help one reel in some customers because they're going to be like, well, I want to see if I can do this. What am I afraid of? And then you got the other
Hmm.
people that are like, I don't know what I'm afraid of. So they come through to see if it's there.
Hmm.
So we're kind of tackling as many fears as we can.
Okay.
So for next year, the biggest thing that's going to be changing and that we want to change around is actually in the stern of the ship, where you start off the tour.
Oh, okay.
When it comes to making that part of the haunt, it's rather difficult because we only have about 2 weeks to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And for next year, I had an idea. We don't know for sure if it's going to go with it, but I pitched, I'm going to use the terminology hotel hell,
Oh,
which
okay.
uh, not so much inspired by American Horror Stories. Hotel. I'm not a big fan of this season. Actually,
Mm.
it's not my favorite. Coven was my favorite,
Okay.
but with this, it's going to. I want to change that back half of the ship into a very intricate
Hmm.
looking hotel scene where there's a lot of death and mayhem that have happened
Hmm.
there, murders, all that good stuff, and there's a lot of ideas you can run with that. You can
Hmm.
turn the main engine bay area where all the gears and everything are, you can cover that up, make it look like a swimming pool. You can make a lobby in the main area when you first walk in.
Hmm.
I want to take foam panels, paint them, and line the walls of the actual ship on the inside to cover them up so it looks like a whole new
Hmm.
feel to it. Because every time you go
Okay.
through there, you get the same, oh, it's metal, oh, there's green walls, look at that, this is a boat.
Mm.
And I kind of want to take that
Mhm.
away.
Okay.
This being it's my 10th season there, so
Mhm.
I want to
Mhm.
blow it out of the water.
Right, right.
No pun intended, but I want to make it as intense as possible.
Mhm.
Really, we broke the attendance record by about 3,000 people this year, which is an incredible
All
spike.
right.
And I want to see if I can do it again.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna have to take some extra steps for sure.
Mm-hmm. Step up the game.
Oh yeah, absolutely, always, every year.
So now, when does planning and when does the committee get together for all this? I mean, have you guys already kind of had a preliminary meeting to kind of see what went well this year, what we could do better? When does stuff kind of all really come down and start hatching out?
Well, now how our team works is I have two supervisors above me that I go directly to, and then we have our whole crew. We have some people that do the construction. I have some people that help me paint. I have my own crew that I bring in that I hire out to help me with the construction setup and some of the scenic design. And we had our first design meeting in November.
All
So
right.
there we go, right away. We're already working on it. It never really stops. And even I'll text my supervisors it was the middle of Christmas break, and I was just like, hey, what about this idea? Alex, it's Christmas. Oh yeah, that's right. So it's always a year-round adventure.
Okay. And when do kind of the monsters kind of come into play? I mean, are they always kind of in your head, in the back of your head, kind of waiting to take shape and you kind of see who the actors are and if they'd fit? Or do the actors have a say in what kind of monster they want to be?
I try to be flexible. We all try to be as flexible as we can. When I'm going through with design ideas, I think about the characters more so in the ending phase of coming up with the design for that room. I come up with how I want a room to be portrayed and how I want it to be viewed, and then that's when I'll start to think, okay, what can I put in here that would tie the knot together?
Okay.
And a lot of that also does depend on the actors I have to work with. We do have a set number of actors that are considered lead actors,
Okay.
and they are in charge of specific zones in the haunt too. They can help train in actors. They can help them find ways through the haunt if they need to get back and go to the restroom or anything like that. And with these lead actors, I like Emily here, who is the darkness. She was a lead actress. I usually come up with certain looks for them so they can be very consistent. The other actors that come in, they're volunteer. They sometimes will get involved around August, September, when we start having actor training meetings and to bring them through the haunt to see what we have. And every once in a while, we'll get a group that'll want to stay back and help us finish. And that's totally take that. We like that. With those actors, since we don't know if they're going to for sure make it every single night, it's up to them. Some of them are in high school still, so they're still young. Their characters, they do have a say in what they want. They'll let us know a preference. Oh, I liked when you did this. I liked, oh, can we try this? Oh, sure, of course we can do that. But we also try and keep it within parameters of where they're acting, so it makes sense, because you don't want to have a zombie walking around in a carnival just full of clowns, where you have a bunch of clowns and just one zombie hanging around, where it looks a little weird. I like to tie it together so it has a nice flow. So it kind of goes by room and the person too. They have to act it. They have to be able to own it.
Right. They have to be able to own their inner monster and demon and whatnot. Now, how do you get the call for actors if somebody's interested in that? Do they just go to the deck website and kind of see when call-outs will be, or?
With the acting, you can actually show up the day of that you want to act. We just ask that they show up a couple hours before we open the doors for the night. And then we get them in costume. We let them pick the room they want, and they have a list of open rooms that are still available. They can pick which one they want. Then they get in line for the makeup artists. And this year I'm trying to come up with a more fluid system. So for certain actors, with how I have it set up, I've got about 6-7 artists every year, and some people have preferences on who they like to go to. It's kind of like getting your haircut. You have your favorite barber.
Right.
Some people just have their favorite makeup artists, or like at my day job at the Plasma Center, some people have their favorite phlebotomist that they like to do their stick for the day. And with the system I want to try and do, I would have the person that's kind of being a receptionist in a way, who hands out the safety whistles and signs them in. I'd want to get a computer system so they can kind of be like, hey, I'd prefer to be with this person, and then they can stick them with the proper person, and then we can call them in personally, so we don't have a big line out the door. But I don't know, it's pretty, it's always an experiment in what we're doing to try and make things different, because we've never seen the haunt get this big before. So we're growing, and we're trying to make it as big as possible.
All right.
So there's a lot going on all the time.
All right. Wonderful, wonderful. This is your host, Simply C. This is 91.3 KUWS right here in Superior. This is another edition of the 9 o'clock Meltdown, and we'll be right back right after this. And we're back. I'm your host, Simply C, and I am in the studio with makeup artist Alex Dunning. Now, you may not know who he is, but you definitely would know his monsters. You have done countless years on the Haunted Ship, and this year you kind of took the cake, and it grew exponentially this year, and you're looking at taking the cake again in this upcoming year.
Absolutely. And this year we already have some new technologies coming in that will envelop our customers a little bit more. We're already pretty realistic and covering all the senses, and we've covered claustrophobia, we've covered bad smells and all of that stuff, but this year we're going to be taking it just a couple notches further. And the deck is very excited that we're finally getting this technology, and I'm excited to see how the public will take to it.
All right, sounds wonderful. And now, Alex, besides being a makeup artist, you are also a musician as well. You play cello and violin. How did you kind of get started on that? And visual art and music are kind of a little bit of opposite ends of the spectrum, but which one did you start off with?
I started off with the violin. I was 7 years old, and it was shortly before that I was going to my sister's band concerts, but there'd always be the orchestra there, and band was cool, but I was always drawn to the string instruments and how they sound, and It was Christmas Day, I was 7 years old, third grade, and I saw my last presents underneath the tree, and I kind of had a small feeling because I'd been begging for so long for a violin, and my mom was just like, "Oh, you're not going to stick with it. You're not going to stick with it." Like, and most parents do because it's an expensive hobby to pick up.
Right, right.
And nope, I opened that up, and I would be playing constantly for hours every single day after school. And I was self-taught. I never got any formal lessons, and I just kind of picked up on it, and I just ran with it. And all through it, my second choice for a string instrument was the cello. And then about 4 years ago, I finally just kind of sat down and was like, all right, I'm gonna do this. I wanna pick it up. I wanna learn this. And with the knowledge of the violin that I had, it transferred over pretty well. Where you can pick it up a little easier, you know the basics and the fundamentals, but of course there's always more technique that you need to learn.
Right.
And right now I'm working on a Shostakovich Cello Concerto No. 1. It's very, very, very difficult, yes, but I'm actually getting it pretty quickly. A lot of hours of dedication and a little bit of tears and a little bit of internal screaming, but that's every musician's life. we could all account for that. That's how we spend a lot of our time, just hoping that it finally comes together, and it finally is.
All right, very cool. And now, do you play with any other people? Are you looking at getting into other bands around town? What's kind of your spectrum on that?
Right now, I'm just kind of playing by myself. I would love to find a quartet or a small orchestral group. For a while, I played with UWS here for a couple semesters, and then I just got busy with my Haunted Tours thing. I kind of let that career path take its wing on me, and then it just kind of got pulled away a little bit. Right now, I always keep my eyes peeled. I like to play a lot of varieties of music. A little bit of pop stuff, a lot of classical. I'm in a really big Bach kick right now, so I'm really liking Bach. So I would really like to play music with somebody again, or find a couple cellists, or even like a cello quartet. I think would be really cool to get into and do rock covers and classical covers, a little bit of everything.
Okay, so it kind of sounds like your influences are more kind of classical and classic rock.
I actually do have a string quartet arrangement of Paint It Black that was composed or arranged by a man named John Reed. And I've heard quite a few different covers of Paint It Black for strings, and it's hit or miss whether or not you're going to really like it. And having my ear the way that it is, how it's very classically trained, if there's some bits of it that just happen to squeal at me or a little bit, I'll just automatically be like, nope, next. And I get rather picky in how I like certain covers to sound if I'm going to play it. But this one that I have of Paint It Black is one I'm actually pretty impressed with. That sticks to it pretty well.
All right, very cool. So a little bit of everything for you, it sounds like. A lot of the visual arts and some music as well.
Oh, yes, and a little bit of psychology. I do have a little certificate stating that I'm a certified hypnotist, so I can do that
goodness.
too. And I really like psychology too. It's and music and art, it's all tied together in the long run. It's all in the same field. Kind of with my personality type. If you're into the Myers-Briggs type of personality test, I'm considered an INTJ, which is introverted, intuitive, thinking, and judgmental. And for those that are interested, I definitely tell them to look up how our thought processes work. But that's kind of other people I know with the same personality type are usually considered a jack of all trades, where we just I don't view things of, oh, I'm just going to learn it to learn it. I just go, I just want to learn it. I want to learn more. And so then you find something, pick it up, learn it, get as good as you can with it, learn something new about it, and then try and master that. And it's just kind of, I don't know, you view life kind of like a chess game where you're like, all right, now I got to think 2 moves ahead, and how am I going to get here from where I'm at? We always have a plan. And with classical music, that kind of transfers over because it's definitely planned, and you have to do a lot of practice, and you can't always just go off a whim. You always have something that you're basing it off of, and you're always thinking a couple steps ahead, or here's this run of a lot of chromatic runs that are coming through, and you're thinking, all right, now I'm in this really adagio section that's going to go into a quick presto, and I'm going to be doing chromatic scales. And when you're playing through classical music, your mind is where you're at now, but then there's another part of your mind that's like, all right, get ready for this part, and you're already mentally preparing it. So it's, I don't know. I think it's just an interesting way of how thought processes and how it all ties together. Bringing my art into my music, and I use classical music in the haunt. I like to use classical music whenever possible.
Okay.
I listen to classical music when I'm doing makeup because it's you don't have the distraction of the lyrics.
Okay.
For me, if it's just fluid sound, it's easier to kind of get sucked into it. You can just let it envelop you a little more. But I definitely love my classical music more than I like modern hits on the radio these days.
Okay. So classical music kind of helps you get into the zone of creating these monsters.
Yes. Some people have walked into me. I'll be down at the boat even before the monsters get there, and I'll be blaring Schubert over my speakers, or even Samuel Barber's String Quartet No. 1, which has its famous second movement, which is the Adagio for strings that you can hear in some movies. And when it's one of those pieces where you hear it, and then you're like, I know exactly what that is. I've had quite the variety of classical music that I'll be playing when I'm doing makeup, and people are like, how do you get the scary thoughts out of that? And it's not so much that I'm listening to a piece at the time that is reflecting what I want to do. I'm just putting on music because I like it. And because I'm in that mindset where I'm comfortable and I can kind of get sucked into it. It just allows me to escape. It's really kind of my own, like, my conscious, like, where I can just be consciously meditating, basically. It's just like just a Zen mode. I can just connect with it. And some of my friends and my partner that I live with, he's called me out where, like, I'll be in the middle of nowhere and I'll hear a little snippet of a classical piece. I'll be like, oh, this is that piece by that. And it kind of weirds people out a little bit that can pick up on it. But I don't know, I just love it. I love it. Some people think that's different, and that's great. But I love my classical music.
Different is good.
Yes, it is. Always embrace difference.
Exactly. And now, Alex, how did you kind of get started with this whole makeup endeavor? You said that you kind of started out as a volunteer on the Haunted Ship. A lady that you knew kind of took you under her wing, and then it kind of grew from there. Did you go to schooling for any of this, or was it all just kind of learned by the seat of your pants?
I just kind of learned by the seat of my pants.
Right.
And back in 2013, I did go to Midwest Haunters Convention in Columbus, Ohio. That was the second year I went. I had a couple team members that I joined up with for a competition called Monster Makeup Wars. And they're from Green Bay, Wisconsin. They run and are affiliated with the haunt called the Morgue down there. And Marla Van Lanen and Brianna Klein were with me. And when we were there, they kind of submitted an application to see if we would be picked to compete on this, which 5 random teams are selected, and you are given a bag of makeup by Bloody Mary Makeup Products. You have no idea what's in it. You have a half an hour to try and use everything as much as possible in the most creative way possible. And our team, we were called Team Rigor Mortis, and very appropriate. And we won first place.
Very cool.
Brianna was our model, and Marla and I were the artists. Marla told me beforehand that it's definitely a team effort to do it, but she wanted to see what I was capable of, because she's seen some of the work I've done, but she wanted to watch me get into my zone, and she definitely was a great help, great inspiration to keep me driven, because you can bet I was super nervous for that. There's a couple thousand people out there watching us, and when they were judging at the end of it, one of the judges, I guess he was affiliated with Face Off from what I've heard, but I don't know for sure. And he was looking at our monster with a checklist. What was that? Oh, well, that was a garbage bag. Well, what was that? Well, that was a fake nose that I turned into a gag or something like that. And it was hard to read what he was thinking, because he's questioning everything. And it even got down to this little glitter pen they gave us, and I didn't know what to do with the bright yellow glitter, so I made a booger. And he loved it. He just loved it. And when it came to the announcing of the winning team, Team Rigor Mortis, we won, and got a nice T-shirt, a little bit of cash prize, and some bragging rights. But it was cool to get my name out a little bit that way.
All right, very cool. And now you said in the first half that actors kind of tend to line up a couple hours before the night of the haunted ship. How many people get in your line and want to become one of your monsters? Or do you have kind of a core group of people that you go to right away?
I usually start with our lead actors, and I'll also do the actors that are acting outside. Those are my main priorities.
Okay.
Since they're being showcased exponentially. When you're outside, it's 360-degree acting. They have to be able to be ready to do anything just on a whim. It's super improvisational.
Okay.
It's just you're working out of the seat of your pants there too. And I do have a lot of volunteers that do line up saying, "Hey, I want Alex. Hey, I want Alex." But if I'm not completely booked, I'll definitely take them because I don't like to say no. I mean, how do you say no to a bunch of kids that look up to you like that? And so I usually take them under my wing, but 40 to 50 actors a night is usually what I'm working with. Some of them I have to get out pretty quick, and they'll be in my chair for maybe all 5 minutes, but I'll do the best I can in that amount of time. But I really have to focus on our lead actors and our highlighted actors, just because they have so much detail that goes into them, and it takes so much time.
Right. And now, what is your kind of a take the cake best monster that you've done to date?
Oh, let's see here. I have a couple. Emily's character from this year, The Darkness, was definitely my favorite. But one that I took pride in was one of my makeup artists. His name is Anthony. He is a phenomenal actor, and he volunteered right away when I was talking about wanting to do that Silent Hill look.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, let's do this. So I did it, and then he brought in 4-inch heels, and he could strut in those heels, and it was phenomenal. It was super fun to watch, especially with how they're supposed to move, how they look all jerky, and it's probably how I naturally look trying to walk in heels myself. But no, he did it, and I think that was one of the proudest moments I had, was seeing one of my characters brought to life in that way, because he just had people running and screaming and cowering in fear. He made people cry without even trying. That was something for me that I really take the cake on, where I see that, I'm like, I made that. And with that, I know a lot of people were a little, they didn't know that he was a man, and so he would have some people coming after him, hooting and hollering, and then they would hear his voice and the confused look on their face as they just turned around and walked away. It was just great. Just great.
All right. Wonderful. So now it kind of sounds like this upcoming year, it's going to take quite a bit to get the ship where you want it to be. How many volunteers do you need to just build what you're talking about?
I don't think there's really a number I could put on that.
Okay.
For me, when someone wants to volunteer and help me create the haunt, I bring them down there, and I just let them take over a room for a little bit, just to see what they're thinking, where they feel they can take this room or take the haunt in a whole new direction. And based off of kind of how their style is and how they do things, will kind of determine, okay, well, I'm not going to turn away help for sure, but it can help me pick out where I want to put them and what kind of projects I want to put them in. I have some people come down that are really technical, that really like to do the construction of animatronics, stuff like that. And then I have other people that are really into the scenic design, where they want to create the paint hues to make it look like a wall is falling and crumbling down, and they're really good at it. And it's kind of hard to find people like that can fit so well into the haunt niche. So like we'll have a smaller crew, maybe of 10 to 15 people total, to create this haunt, but we do start making it, and I'll be down there probably in March already, starting to get it up and going.
All right. Sounds wonderful. And now, if somebody's interested in having you create a monster for them, or even just kind of talking to you and seeing what makeup artistry is about, how can they get a hold of you?
They can get a hold of me through my Facebook page, which you can look up me personally. I have my own Facebook page, Alex Dunning. Then I have Makeup by Alex Dunning. That's just attached to it. Otherwise, they can feel free to email me. My email is Dunning, DUNNING, .alex@yahoo.com. And they just send me an email, and I respond to them I always respond to anybody that's interested. Last year, I was taking reservation times for people that wanted to be made up for Halloween, which I do charge a little bit for that. I start off with a base of $20, and then after that, really depends on how much I'm putting into it. I leave a lot of the price negotiation up to the customer, just because I like them to see what the product is, and I don't want to overcharge somebody if they don't like it, which thankfully haven't had that yet, where they haven't liked it. So I'm really flexible with it. I've been told from people further south, like my brother, he's showing me off, he lives in Colorado. People down there pay a couple $100 for that for the looks I'll give people, but I don't charge them that right off the bat. If they want to give me that, that's okay, but I won't force it.
All right, sounds wonderful, Alex. Well, thank you so much for coming on this afternoon and talking about your artwork and what's coming up for the haunt this year.
Yeah, absolutely. It was great to come on here. Anytime that anything else comes up, I'll definitely let you know what our secrets are.
All right, sounds
good. What we're planning. Always a work in progress, so there's always something new coming around.
All right, sounds great, Alex. Well, thank you very much, and good luck with the haunt.
Well, thank you very much.
Solid melt now into air. Turn brother against brother, turn to be against bear. No amount of wading in the water gonna lay my burden down there. Men project the best of themselves into the sky, where it cannot be much brought to bear.
Gonna fill my eyes with light. Gonna fill my eyes with light. Gonna fill my eyes with light. Shine out the devil and the demons from my mind. Gonna get this time. Gonna get this time. Gonna get this time. Gonna get back in my heart.
Dear God, are you there? It's me, Southwire, outsider to the garden, eater of the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. We confess to worrying the steeples were built so steep, precisely not to catch our climbing feet. But no shame, put Jacob to bed, give the ladder a new name.
Gonna get in there.
Standing in the rain, you know, and I don't look the same as I did not long ago, and I can't stand the pain. I only wish it would go, and I won't seem to say the words of truth that you don't know. Suffer it now, suffer it now. Hold my hand if you want to hold my hand. You won't be the you don't know, and you won't be the same if you and I don't really go. Cause we are not to blame for all of this, it's far too slow. If we don't jump the train, then you and I will never know. Suffering now, suffering now. Hold my hand if you want to hold my hand. Suffering now, suffering now. Hold my hand if you want to hold my hand. I don't feel the same standing in the rain, you know, and I don't look the same as I did not long ago. And I can't stand the pain, I only wish that it would go. And I won't seem to say the words of truth that you don't know. Suffering now, suffering now. Hold my hand if you wanna hold my hand.
Before that, we heard from Southwire and Dan Dresser. And coming up next, I've got the rock band Exhaust. I've got some from Actual Wolf. And then we're here a little bit from Teague and Ian Alexi. This is 91.3 KUWS right here in Superior.
Don't breathe in your place, and that's what's bothering you. And the chances have expired. There's little argument for me, and your patience have retreated back into reality. Oh, let it go. Let it go. I've been trying to keep you happy, bought you everything I know, but these misguided intentions leave you angry and alone. My ego stumbling backwards, falling over fantasies full of roses and forgiveness. Little argument for me. Oh, let it go. Let it go. Just full of hindsight and neglected memories will reminding me what I'm like, falling over fantasy. Slapping hard across my face for something I've already done. I know my love seems rather timid. Baby, you are not the one. Second chances are redundant, and that's what's troubling me. Gave it all the love left in you, back to your reality. Oh, let it go. Let it go. Oh, let it go. Let it go.
Well, sweetness brown, get around town. Live high above the ground, below. One day that big up's gonna fall on down. I know, you know. Top floors, no place to jump out the window. Come shake the foundation. Come shake the foundation. Shake the foundation, tear this building down. I wear my hat, wear my best. You put on that party dress. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, where else you gonna hear the sound? The sights, saints of the underground. Let's go. Shake the foundation, tear this building down. Shake the foundation, tear this building down.